How's it going, you guys? So in this video I'm going to be talking a little bit about this idea of superfoods. So I've actually been researching a lot of these so-called superfoods, and I've been using a lot of these foods people call superfoods, supplements like that and herbs, since 2012, 2013. And I really started to get into them around 2014. And I've been working as a personal trainer and a strength coach since 2014, if we're talking professionally. And I've had clients who've always asked me about these foods and these things, and then people who request health consultations will ask me about superfoods. So I get a lot of questions about superfoods, both in my real life practice and then also online. Which online, I guess, is real life too, but whatever. So my idea of superfoods has changed a lot over the course of time. And I want you guys to understand that most people who use that word superfoods are not really giving you like real practical information. People will use all sorts of gimmicks just to get YouTube ratings, to be boosted on the algorithm. They'll say top 10 superfoods that you should be taking, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll list things like cacao powder, goji berry, blah, blah, blah. The reality is the word superfood is meaningless, and we shouldn't be consuming foods because they're labeled superfood. The word superfood, what does it mean? Does it mean that food contains all the vitamins and minerals to survive? Is it a very nutritionally complete food? If that's the definition, then we need to look at that critically. And I believe that's what most people mean when they say superfood. So people say something like spirulina is a superfood because it contains all the vitamins and minerals and amino acids you need to survive. Okay, so let me ask you a question. First of all, how sustainable would it be for you to live even like 3 months eating only spirulina? Because our definition of superfood is a food that's one of the most nutritionally complete. And people tout spirulina in the vegan world as being a natural source of vitamin B12 and being a complete source of protein. Please tell me, give me like a video series of somebody who's lived a long time eating nothing but fucking spirulina, okay? Please, because if that's our definition of superfood, it's nutritionally complete, I need a real world example of someone who actually is putting that to the test and surviving on only eating spirulina. And keep in mind, you could actually fast for like 3 months or whatever and not die, I guess. But that is unrealistic for a couple of reasons. The first reason, and please bear with me here because this example of spirulina, it translates into pretty much everything else we'll be talking about with superfoods. First of all, spirulina is so expensive, okay? It's expensive no matter what dosage you're taking it in, okay? I think it's like $20 a pound or more. Probably more than that, actually. The other thing is how much protein does spirulina have per pound, right? Because people will use these stupid equations like per calorie it has this much protein. Spirulina doesn't have much protein in it at all. And people say the same shit about broccoli, especially vegans. They'll say, fucking broccoli has 20 grams of protein per 400 calories. But it's like, how many pounds of broccoli do you need to consume to get 400 calories and that 20 grams of protein? Way more fucking pounds of broccoli or pounds of spirulina than anyone's going to realistically be able to consume, okay, without dying of intestinal explosion because of all the freaking fiber. Okay, that's the first thing, is the amount of freaking spirulina you need to eat to get your minimum requirement of protein is so much. You'd be spending a shit ton of money, like $200 fucking dollars a day. And even then, the nutritional components of spirulina get kind of foggy when we begin to examine them with confounding factors. So, that's the first thing, is No, it may have an analog or a precursor to B12, and it may also have complete in amino acids. But you need to consume a shit ton of spirulina to get that much. And the amount of spirulina most people consume is not really contributing a whole lot of B12 or amino acids to their daily intake to make a significant difference. Okay? Most people would be better off just eating a pound of meat a day. People actually, on a regular basis, you may not want to hear this, but there's a whole community of people called the World Carnivore Tribe on Facebook, which, by the way, I don't advocate the carnivore diet, but they're surviving on nothing but red meat for some of them for decades, but most of them for years at a time. And they're reversing all their health conditions too, and they're not eating any of these so-called superfoods at all, no plant foods. But they're eating, their diet's obviously nutritionally complete and realistic, so does that mean red meat's the real superfood? Maybe. It's nutritionally complete, they're surviving on it, they're reversing all their diseases, but it's not an exotic superfood like freaking spirulina or goji berries. So you're not going to freaking see people making top 10 lists of superfoods and just listing fucking beef. Even though if we're being realistic here, and our definition of superfood is the most nutritionally complete, red meat fits that fucking definition way more than the spirulina. So yeah, you're not going to see many people surviving on spirulina alone. Most of the nutrients in spirulina, their bioavailability is questionable. The protein content, how bioavailable is it? Even if it is as bioavailable as red meat or whatever, pea protein, it only has like 1 gram per teaspoon or something like that, or per tablespoon of spirulina, or 4 grams of protein per tablespoon of spirulina. And that tablespoon of spirulina is going to cost $1 to $2. It's not a very good source of protein for the amount of money or whatever that you're paying. And then, magnesium and potassium and some of these minerals. And any superfood, if they're coming from a plant source, you have to consider their bioavailability. How much phosphorus does it have? Phytic acid, how much phytic acid does it have? And then if you cook the food to remove the phytic acid, how much of that magnesium and potassium gets destroyed during the cooking process as well? We know vitamin C, for example, is sensitive to light and heat and the amount of time it's being transported. So how much vitamin C are you really getting from those so-called superfoods? So a lot of the vitamin and mineral content that you're getting from some of these superfoods, especially things like seeds, like flax seeds, chia seeds, most of the nutrients in those foods are extremely low bioavailability, okay? And when we're talking about nuts and seeds and legumes, the amino acid content, definitely, not only do you need to combine them to get the full array of amino acids, and leucine is what we really need to worry about as far as muscle protein synthesis, but also the magnesium and potassium and calcium is all bound to phosphoric acid and phytic acid. Then also oxalate, while not really necessarily being as bad as these carnivore freaks think, but oxalate also has a tendency to interfere with the absorption of some of these vitamins and minerals. So from a nutrient standpoint, most of these foods people think are superfoods are not really, they're not as nutritionally complete as people think. They're not the nutrient powerhouses people think. On paper, these nuts and seeds and these berries and these green vegetables might have a high amount of nutrients. But when we compare them to the amount of calories and how much bulk, how many pounds of that food you have to eat to get that much calories, to get that much nutrition, they're actually not that super. And then even further, when we look at the bioavailability of these nutrients, the anti-nutrients they might contain, and the way some of these foods have to be processed in order to get those nutrients, fucking kale smoothies and shit, these foods people think are superfoods are not really that super. They're just gimmicks and they're trends that people are like passing along, and then there's some science to support it that are not being looked at in a realistic, nuanced fashion, considering the confounding factors I've mentioned. And there's way more nuances than I've already mentioned, but I'm trying to keep this kind of short and simple. So yeah, nutritional completeness. Most of these superfoods people are promoting, they're not going to contribute a substantial amount of nutrition to where you should be spending like, you know, $10 a week or more on these foods. You'd be better off spent on basic foods that contribute to your basic needs. And I believe that that would be mostly red meat, in my opinion. But if we're talking about a food that can sustain the majority of nutritional needs, that's what I believe. But there are people who live on nothing but fucking bananas. So yeah, that's not a good argument, right? So anyway, let's look at the next argument. So we have polyphenols, okay? So this is where I would say it's a better idea to look for, because people are looking for superfoods. What they generally are really looking for is just like some basic foods that can give them a substantial increase in their well-being. And for me, that's always been what I've been looking for. And when I look for superfoods, I'm looking for something that's going to substantially increase my well-being. But most of the so-called superfoods people promote aren't really even that effective for that purpose. So foods that contain polyphenols that can boost your levels of energy, vitality, and health. That's what I like. So things like gynostemma, also known as giagolon or miracle grass, is amazing for boosting your health, your vigor, your well-being, and decreasing markers of oxidative stress, decreasing cortisol, and that's also nuanced. You don't necessarily want to decrease in cortisol to be healthy, but whatever. But miracle grass, giagolon, fucking gynostemma is a superfood in that sense. It has polyphenols that will give you a noticeable increase in your well-being. Try that with hemp seeds, with chia seeds, with fucking hemp oil or chia oil or flax seeds especially. What the fuck? Or eating a pound of broccoli a day is not going to make you feel substantially healthier if we're comparing it to something like gynostemma tea, taken in proper doses, proper preparations over the course of time. Something like, what's another better one? I think goji berry tea is great. It can have a very hypnotic effect, make you feel almost like you're drinking, when I talk to people on the phone after drinking some strong goji berry tea, a lot of times I sound kind of drunk, people have told me. Just because it makes you feel super high, super mellow. It increases GABA in the brain. There's some studies that show it can substantially increase growth hormone, even though those effects in reality might be negligible, whatever. But it definitely has some great neuroprotective effects. And it can decrease stress, it can improve your sleep. Goji berry tea, in my opinion, would be something that you would want to look into as a superfood. But I found if you eat goji berries, especially in a dried form, you'll mostly be pooping them out. And also, you got to consider, while it may have SuperTonic type effects, goji berry tea, if you have a intolerance to nightshades, mostly arthritis type symptoms, and possibly leaky gut, some people believe it can destroy the gut lining. Goji berry is actually a nightshade vegetable and has the alkaloid solanine, so it should probably be, you should be skeptical and be looking out for those symptoms when consuming goji berry tea. So what else? I mean, you have things like reishi mushroom that has a wide scope of benefits. So pretty much for me, when I look at so-called superfoods, I guess I'm not really looking at superfoods the way other people are, but what I look at more is what Ron Teagarden, one of the master herbalists that started this whole craze of tonic herbs. I'm looking at SuperTonic Herbs, because what people are wanting from superfoods, they're not going to get from freaking blueberries and shit, even though I think blueberries are one of the superfoods that are probably a good idea. I think bananas are fucking great. I think oranges are great. I don't think seeds, flax seeds and chia seeds and shit are a good idea. But you're going to get the benefits you're looking for from SuperTonic Herbs. That's what they call them. And I should have brought this book for this video. I have this book in my room. It's Ron T. Garden's, I forgot what he called it, like Health Beyond Danger, or SuperTonic Herbs, where he basically he outlines the basics of Chinese medicine, then he lists all the tonic herbs of Chinese medicine. SuperTonic Herbs are basically what I'm describing here. They give you the benefits you really want. But you're not going to get like a substantial boost increase in your well-being by eating spinach smoothies. It's hilarious. It's freaking hilarious. So anyway, yeah, so if we're talking about nutritionally complete foods, nutritional powerhouses that can sustain your nutrient needs, like a baseline level of nutrition just to be healthy, in my opinion, that would be red meat. Red meat contains 100% of your daily value of most nutrients if you're eating at least a pound a day. If you're getting your ideal intake of protein for the day, which in my opinion is 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. Very important to differentiate between lean body mass and total body mass, because if someone is 400 pounds and they're overweight, then it's not as accurate. So lean body mass. So if I have 160 pounds of lean body mass, that means 160 grams of protein. If I get that from whole red meat, I'm also going to be getting over 100% of my daily value of vitamin B12, all the B vitamins except for B1 thiamine and folate, okay, which those two can be gotten from other sources like bananas, oranges, or liver. But then you also have vitamin C. Vitamin C is not found in red meat, but you can get that from bananas and oranges. So you can actually eat a diet of freaking bananas and oranges and red meat. And if you just get 1 gram per pound of lean mass of protein from red meat, okay, and you boil the red meat and you eat the liquid, you're actually getting most of your magnesium and potassium. 1 pound of red meat, depending on how lean it is, contains about half your daily intake of potassium and magnesium. And mind you, the government actually there's actually no scientific consensus on the recommended intake for those electrolytes. There is a reference intake, but not like an ideal intake. But yeah, you can get most of your mineral intake and pretty much all of your nutritional needs from red meat, just muscle meat. And then the vitamin C, the B1, the folate, and then whatever potassium and magnesium you need left that isn't being supplied by red meat, you can get from bananas and oranges. And I didn't realize this before, but apparently Ray Peat kind of recommends a similar approach. I just kind of focus on the sugar. But I'm not a fan of red peat, by the way, but I'm just saying, I notice this now. Fruit and meat. And that will supply you all the needs you need, all your nutritional needs. You know, give yourself 10 bananas and 2 pounds of red meat. And you'll see if you plug in a chronometer, you're getting all your nutrient needs on paper. And if you take into consideration anti-nutrients, well, fruit and meat is the lowest in anti-nutrients. Most anti-nutrients that interfere with absorption, they come from legumes, beans, nuts, and seeds. And in nature, the reason why nuts and seeds generally are so hard to digest and full of these mineral chelating anti-nutrients is because you eat the nut, seed, bean, legume in its raw form and you shit it out in the soil. What is shit? What is poop? It's fertilizer. Okay? What is a seed? What is a bean? What is a nut, a seed, a legume? They're all basically seeds. So they're meant to be pooped out in the soil along with your shit to fertilize that seed and turn it into a fucking plant. Wow. Holy crap. Holy crap, literally. No wonder so many people have autoimmune illnesses and things that are triggered by these foods. And I'm not saying that these foods are necessarily unhealthy. And I'm definitely not saying that they create nutrient deficiencies at all. Some of the healthiest populations in the world eat high amounts of these foods. Please don't crucify me. People who only watch half of the video, they'll leave stupid comments like blah, blah, blah. What about the blue zones? Well, I'm not denying the blue zones or that you can be healthy and eat these foods. I'm just saying these foods are not fucking superfoods, goddammit. I'm saying Fruits, I'm saying fruits and red meat together. Optimal diet, fulfills all your nutrient needs without anti-nutrients, and those are the most nutritionally complete foods you can eat. You don't need all these gimmicky superfoods. You don't need spinach smoothies. You don't need fucking broccoli. Do you know how much money I've wasted on those foods that were actually contributing to my irritable bowel syndrome? Oh my god. But you know what? It's cool. All these freaking like gimmicky people, oh, I'm just gonna eat all these spinach salads and blah blah blah. I'm gonna eat healthy, you know, and just eating nothing but rabbit food. Like, they're just lost. And I'll try to explain, like, hey, like, here is some, like, true reality, tangible reasons, you know, and they're like, no, this, but, oh yeah, well, why do all these doctors recommend spinach smoothies, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, geez, there's no saving them. So if you've watched this video so far, congratulations. You're one of the few people with genetics for intelligence enough to actually sustain your attention this long and understand, in my opinion, not so complicated things, just a little bit of nuance. But a lot of people who drink spinach smoothies will kind of think that this shit sounds like rocket science. It's freaking crazy. Yeah, you want to look like Michael Greger and Dr. Furman, go ahead and eat all that other crap. I'm just laying it out to you guys like it is. Yes, some so-called superfoods, especially SuperTonic Herbs, can drastically improve your well-being and your health. Okay? But also, most of these superfoods that are being promoted are not actually superfoods. Liver, red meat, and fruit will supply all the nutrients that your body needs. Okay? Period. If you eat them combined in a properly formulated diet, fruit, red meat, and freaking organs. And then if you need that extra boost in your health and your well-being, and even to reverse some chronic conditions that the basic diet and removing food intolerances, and most of these so-called superfoods, these seeds and shit, those are actually what's causing a lot of autoimmune illness. You remove those things, and if that does not solve your problems, some of these SuperTonic Herbs will help. Things like reishi, things like cordyceps, things like holy basil, gynostemma, goji berry tea. Okay? So let me know what you guys think down below, and also up your salt intake. Something I forgot to say, Redmond's real salt. Because a lot of people are suffering from adrenal dysregulation that is caused by consuming way too little salt. Okay? Leave your questions, comments down below. Talk to you guys next time.